This year, Volkswagen and Ford have both launched brand new versions of their important flagship small cars. The Polo continues to reign at the top of the sales charts, and so the Fiesta is here to unseat its rival. Both cars are incredibly closely matched on paper, but that's what we're here for, to work out which is the best one to live with and which one offers the best value.
Let's kick it off with pricing. This is the top of the range Fiesta. Model, and it costs 310,000 Rand, which is about 12,000 Rand more than the Polo we have here today. Both cars have 1-litre 3-cylinder engines, so if you're a fan of displacement, these are not the cars for you. They have similar amounts of power, about 70 to 74 kilowatts, although the Polo claims a better 0 to 100 time and a better top speed, but that's probably down to its double clutch gearbox. Now, the Fiesta is a very comfortable car to drive. It's the kind of car that you'd happily drive every day, but it does have some quirks. That gearbox, it's a bit of an old-fashioned auto and it gets quite confused, especially when you're in a hurry. And then there's the accelerator pedal. It's very responsive, a bit too responsive actually. And I think driving it in stop-start traffic is actually going to be a little bit difficult. It's like we're doing 0 and then whoa, suddenly we're doing 100. Okay, let's all calm down. All right, good.
This is the Comfortline RLine, and while the RLine package costs over 17,000 Rand, it still brings the price of this car in below the Fiesta, and the kit really does look the business. It adds these sporty 17-inch wheels, as well as a revised front bumper and those dark surrounds in the headlights. In fact, if you can't afford the GTI, this is a good way of fooling people into thinking that you can.
And while it might look a bit like a Polo GTI, it doesn't drive like one. In fact, this car has less than half the power of a Polo GTI. So it's got these racy good looks, but it's actually quite dull to drive. It's not exactly slow, but it's dull. But in terms of commuting, it does a lot of things very, very well. Its ride quality is excellent. They've absolutely nailed the ride quality of this Polo. I thought the Fiesta was really good, but this is just a bit better. It rides like a much bigger car actually. And I think a lot of why it's good to drive is down to this gearbox. The DSG box is very smart. You barely know that it's there, and it's doing all the right things to bring down the fuel consumption. And I think a lot of why this Polo is performing better in terms of economy is because of the gearbox. But it does have its quirks though, this car, and the thing that's been bothering me the most is the stop-start system. It's very intrusive. It cuts in before the car has even come to a stop. And I wish that once you had turned the stop-start system off, that it would just stay off, but you have to turn it off every time you start the car. I'm now going to test the boot space of the Polo and Fiesta using some everyday household items. Now, on paper, Volkswagen says the Polo has a boot space of 350 litres. Ford says the Fiesta has 303 litres. But personally, I prefer to measure wine in litres, not boot space, and so we shall test them practically using a medium-sized suitcase and a washing basket in case, you have to take your washing to your mom's house or something. Let's start with a suitcase and we will do a depth test. That's not going to work, but that will work. So your washing will go everywhere, but you can see you can get both items in. And then let's do a height test. Oh, this is going to be close. Boom, we're in. So good depth, good height for the Polo. Moving over to the Fiesta. And I can immediately see that the distance between the back of the car and the back of the seats is not as large as the Polo. So I don't think this is going to go in either way. Nah, that will not go in. But let's do a height test. This is looking pretty good. Will it close? Yes. So good height for the Fiesta, but I think it's pretty clear that the Polo is more practical. And now I will show you the rear seat space using the magic of voiceover.
Using the tried and tested sit behind yourself method, we found that there's not much knee room to speak of in the Fiesta, but the seats are generally fairly comfortable. Hopping into the back of the Polo, there's a good inch of extra knee room, the headroom is okay, and the backrests are quite a bit more supportive.
The Fiesta's cabin is a mixed bag of quality materials and not so quality materials. The steering wheel, for instance, feels great. Nice soft touch leather, as does the dash, but you get over to the door and it's kind of these tough, hard plastics. And some of the elements feel super modern and some feel quite outdated, like this touchscreen looks really great, but you get over to the dials and they feel quite plain compared to the active info display that you can get in the Polo. But when it comes to standard equipment, the Fiesta is very well spec'd. You get keyless entry, cruise control, auto aircon, auto wipers, auto headlights, 6 airbags, satellite navigation, all as part of the purchase price. The Polo has none of those things as standard. In fact, if you want all the options in your Polo that I've just mentioned in the Fiesta, you're going to have to spend an extra 25,000 Rand, which actually makes the Polo 13,000 Rand more expensive than the Fiesta, and you can't even get heated seats in the Polo. However, the rest of the interior is pretty excellent. I mean, you still get some cheap plastic over here on the doors, but everything else is really well designed and executed, and I don't think the design of the Polo is going to date as much as the design of the Fiesta. In terms of the comfort of your front seats, I mean, you're going to be spending a lot of time in them. I would say that the Polo is a bit more comfortable. Please excuse me wearing my sunglasses. It is unbelievably bright out here. Right, so it's always fun to drag race M5s against E63s, but these battles are more important. People spend their hard-earned rands on these cars, and our rands are being squeezed all the time. But if you can stretch to just over 300,000 Rand, you will get two superb cars no matter which one you choose. They're super modern, super easy to live with, and they have loads of modern features. But we have to pick a winner today, and on paper it does look like the Fiesta is better value. It's got a longer service plan and a longer warranty and more features as standard. However, you will probably make up the difference when you come to sell the Polo later down the line. So let me not waste the last few minutes of your life. Today, between these two cars, we think the Polo is the better buy. And remember that if you're looking for a second-hand, new or used Polo or Fiesta, Cars.co.za is the best place to look. Bye for now.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, maybe give it a like, and definitely subscribe to be the first to see our videos as they drop. Yeah, definitely do that.